In this video, we'll be learning how to convert degrees into radians. So this conversion always revolves around the fact that 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. And we can use this conversion to turn any number of degrees into a radian measurement instead. Let's look at a few examples. So 90 degrees is how many radians? Well, we know that 180 degrees is pi radians. And so if we divide both sides of that by 180, that would mean that 1 degree is equal to pi over 180 radians. Again, that's just my conversion dividing both sides by 180. But I don't want 1 degree, I want 90 degrees. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equal sign by 90. And what that gives me is 90 degrees is equal to 90 pi over 180 radians. And now I can simplify the fraction by dividing the top and the bottom by 90. Now that gives me a simplified version of 90 degrees is equal to 1 pi over 2 radians, which of course I don't really need to write the 1, so I can write 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians. Maybe that was a little confusing. Let's look at another example. 30 degrees is how many radians? Well, 180 degrees is pi radians, which means 1 degree is pi over 180 radians. But I don't want 1 degree, I want 30 degrees, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 30. That's going to give me 30 degrees is equal to 30 pi over 180 radians. Now I can simplify that fraction by dividing the top and the bottom by 30, and that means that 30 degrees is equal to 1 pi over 6 radians, which is simplified to just pi over 6 radians. Let's consider another example. What about 45 degrees? How many radians is that? Well, once again, 1 degree is simply pi over 180 radians. But I don't want 1 degree, I want 45 degrees. So I multiply both sides by 45, and that gives me 45 pi over 180 degrees. If I divide the top and the bottom by 45, I get 45 degrees is equal to 1 pi over 4, which is pi over 4 radians. Now that you're starting to get the hang of it, let's do a harder example, one that doesn't divide as well into 180 degrees. Let's consider 150 degrees. How many radians is that? Well, my formula is going to be the same. If 180 degrees is pi radians, then 1 degree is just pi over 180 radians. But I don't want 1 degree, I want 150 degrees, so I have to multiply both sides by 150. If I do that, it gives me 150 degrees is equal to 150 pi over 180 radians. Now, 150 over 180 will simplify to 5 over 6. And so that's going to give me 150 degrees is equal to 5 pi over 6 radians. And I actually can't simplify that any further, so that's my answer. Let's do another example. 270 degrees is how many radians? Well, 1 degree is pi over 180 radians, and therefore 270 degrees is 270 pi over 180. Now, if I reduce this fraction by dividing the top and the bottom by 90, that's going to give me 270 degrees is equal to 3 pi over 2 radians. And again, all I did was divide the top and bottom by 90 to reduce the fraction. Now, I can't reduce it any further, so that's actually my answer. 270 degrees is 3 pi over 2 radians. Let's do another example to drive it home. What about 300 degrees? How many radians is that? Well, similar to all of my other examples, 1 degree is just pi over 180 radians. But 300 degrees is 300 pi over 180 radians. Now, if I divide the top and the bottom by 60, then that's going to simplify my fraction to 5 pi over 3 radians, and I can't simplify any further, so that's my final answer. Let's look at one more example in this video. How many radians is 450 degrees? So once again, 180 degrees is pi radians, which means 1 degree is pi over 180 radians. I don't want 1 degree, I want 450 degrees, so I multiply both sides by 450. That's going to give me 450 pi over 180. And if I divide the top and the bottom by 90, that fraction will reduce to 450 degrees is equal to 5 pi over 2 radians. That can't be simplified any further, so that's my final answer.